Welcome to Melbourne and Flemington, Australia's international racecourse on another fabulous Tuesday. That's right, it is the traditional first Tuesday in November, and this is the 137th running of the Melbourne Cup. Yes, the annual influx of visitors, the best horseflesh from here and right around the world. They are all here for this first Tuesday in November, the Melbourne Cup, the pinnacle of the Australian racing calendar. Melbourne Cup Day 1997. In just under 20 minutes, the gates will open to a huge roar from the crowd of nearly 100,000 people at least. Can Doremus do it again? Will it be Ebony Grove? Could it be the Queen's Horse, Arabian Story? Or will 10-time winning Cup trainer Bart Cummings make it 11 with either Alpha or Grandmaster? Then again, it could be another breathtaking performance from Caulfield Cup winner Might and Power, and he is bursting out of his saddle. One thing's for sure, well over 500 million television viewers from around the globe are focusing on this unique handicap race. This is the Foster's Melbourne Cup. With the horses in the mounting yard preparing to take to the track, let's join our experts for the very last word. Good afternoon, Peter Donegan and Jenny Chapman.
Thank you, Tim Webster, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be watching around the world. The roar goes up, the roulettes, the flying squad are overhead. The atmosphere is electric before the Melbourne Cup, as it has been for its 136 prior runnings, Jen.
Everyone is an absolute buzz here in Melbourne at Flemington today, and it's just wonderful. The sun has come out. It's just perfect. 22
runners in this year's Foster's Melbourne Cup, and as I said, we are being watched around the world by many people in many countries. I know at the Australian Embassy in Washington they're watching our live telecast today, and they'll be pretty pleased with what they see. Flemington looks superb, and so too do these 22 horses. There is a huge crush in the mounting yard. One or two of the horses just getting up on the toes a little bit. I noticed Harbour Dews was up on his toes. But now let's run through the runners in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And we begin with number 1, Count Chivas, to be ridden by Danny Brereton. Simon Morris is the trainer. He'll start from barrier number 21. The last time the number 1 Saddlecloth won was in 1954 with Rising Fast.
He ran second to Saintly last year as a very good effort and a fabulous ride when he was ridden by Stephen King. He's a Sydney Cup winner over the 3,200 metres. His form leading into the Melbourne Cup this year has been a little bit indifferent, although his run in the Caulfield Cup wasn't too bad. You can't rule him out. He is a proven stayer.
2 years ago, this wonderful horse enjoyed his moment in the sun. Number 2, Doremus. Greg Hall, his jockey, became a father for the second time yesterday. Lee Friedman knows what it's like to win a Melbourne Cup. 4 horses have won the Melbourne Cup twice. Only one of them has won 2 years apart. That was Peter Pan back in the 1930s.
Absolutely, and he is a Caulfield and Melbourne Cup winner. That was in 1995. He put up a terrific performance in this year's Caulfield Cup, and last year's performance in the Melbourne Cup was also very, very good. He was quite unlucky there. He appears to be exactly spot on for his third tackle at the Melbourne Cup. A great race jockey and Greg Hall on board. He's a great chance.
Might and Power, you can see, is on his toes there in the mounting yard. The Caulfield Cup winner, to be ridden by Jim Cassidy and trained by Jack Denham. Incredible in the Caulfield Cup. 9 horses have completed the double. Will it be number 10?
Well, it was the most amazing Caulfield Cup win I have ever seen. Might and Power just destroyed the opposition there. Here he is. It's his third staying race today in the AJC Derby. He was desperately unlucky. He possibly should have won that as well. Will he make the distance? I'm not sure, but if he does, he's our new champion.
Number 4 is the New Zealander Sapio. Danny Nikolic, the rider. Sylvia Kay, the trainer. It carries the most successful saddlecloth in Melbourne Cup history. Number 4 has won this race 11 times, and he's the most experienced in the field of 3,200 metres.
Yes, and he finished 8th behind Saintly in last year's Melbourne Cup. I thought it was a fair effort on that occasion. He won the New Zealand Cup in 1995. You know he will stay the difference, but he's not getting any younger. He's now a 7-year-old. I'll give him a place chance.
Another horse that started in the Melbourne Cup last year, number 5, Court of Honour, finished 20th of 22. He's now trained by Peter Hayes to be ridden by Brent Thompson. Last year he finished 13 lengths from the winner.
Yes, his last start was in the Moonee Valley Cup, in which he won. That was over 2,500 metres. Quite a nice effort there. This horse did have some good long-staying distance form in the UK prior to coming here, but I just wonder whether or not he's well off at the weights. I don't think he is at 55.
Another Kiwi, number 6, Viali, originally from Ireland, is to be ridden by Brian York for Paul O'Sullivan. He has to overcome a hoodoo. No horse has ever won the Melbourne Cup from gate 18.
Well, he's a lightly raced 7-year-old, this fellow. He showed his class, really, in the Cox Plate at his last outing. He's only had the 2 runs in, but I believe he's been very well prepared by his trainer, Paul O'Sullivan. Slight query over him over the 3,200, but he's there with a place chance.
Is there an omen here for number 7, Alpha, trained by Bart Cummings, ridden by Darren Beedman? He has the most successful barrier in Cup history. Barrier 11 has won the race 6 times. Bart Cummings going for win number 11.
Well, you can never underestimate Bart Cummings and Darren Beedman. That combination is just too good. This horse was an outstanding 3-year-old. He did suffer a tendon injury. He's come back. His form hasn't been top class this time in, but I know that Bart is very pleased with his progression. A staying query for sure in this race, but maybe a place chance.
Number 8 is Ebony Grove. The rider is Shane Dye. He's declared this horse the best horse in Australia. The last horse to come from gate 22 in a field of 22, Belldale Ball in 1980.
I don't think the barrier will worry him too much. He's a horse that does like to get back in his races. He was a winner here on Saturday in the McKinnon over 2,000 metres. It was a great effort. He charged home along the best part of the track on that occasion. He's got some good speed in this race. That will suit him. He'll be charging home. The
eyes of the mother country are focused aboard this horse, number 9, Arabian Story, to be ridden by the world's premier jockey, Frankie Dettori, for Lord Huntington, and raced by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Greys to have won the race: Sub-Zero, Silver Knight, Baghdad Note, Haraji. Can Arabian Story make it 5?
Quite possibly on his last run, Peter. It was an excellent effort in a very good field. Posidonis, our overseas visitors or guests would know these horses. Posidonis, Swain, Clerkenwell. That was a good effort. He's a horse on the way up. He's only lightly raced, had the 13 starts. And Frankie Dettori de Rye, well, he always helps with these horses. He'll put a few lengths on them. 10 is Harbour Dews. The rider here, Ray Cochran, for Lady Harry's. This horse beat Arabian Story by a neck in the Scandinavian in August. And Jen, it was the same time as the Caulfield Cup, 2:26.2. Yes, I think you have to take note of that because we're giving Might and Power a very good chance in the Melbourne Cup this year. And the fact that this horse ran the same time must put him in there. He's lightly raced as well. Hard to line up his form, but I'd respect the time that he ran last time.
The stallion number 11, Always Aloof, Stephen King, rides for Lee Friedman. The last 7-year-old to win the Melbourne Cup was back in 93. It was vintage crop, and only 8 times have 7-year-olds been successful.
Yes, he's been taken along slowly. He's only had the 25 runs, this horse, and he's a 7-year-old stallion. His form in the UK prior to coming here was excellent, and I've got to say that he must be considered a strong chance. His form before the Caulfield Cup was excellent, and if you can forgive him for one bad run, he's right in it.
Number 12, Magnet Bay, to be ridden by Chris Johnson. Danny Fry is the rider, and he carries the second most successful saddlecloth in Melbourne Cup history with 10 wins.
This is a horse that really does like the wet tracks. His form is excellent on wet tracks, but he hasn't got that here today. The track is in perfect condition. He had the run of the race in the McKinnon Stakes on Saturday, and I just doubt if he's quite up to these.
Is it going to be lucky number 13 for Skybow? Dwayne Dunn is the rider. Veteran trainer Len Smith from Adelaide. The last time number 13 won the Melbourne Cup, what a nuisance, back in 1985. Before that, it was the 3-year-old Skipton in 1941.
And his trainer has brought him along exactly the same as he did last year. Nice and steady. He's been racing extremely well. He's going to appreciate the pace on in this race. He'll get back in this, but watch him to be charging home towards the end of this. He's a definite chance in the race.
Can the First Lady of Australian racing create history in the Melbourne Cup? Number 14, Linesman, Larry Cassidy, the rider. Gay Waterhouse, the trainer. Can she become the first female trainer to officially win the great race?
Well, he was super impressive in this year's Sydney Cup, I thought, Peter. Absolutely blitzed the opposition on that occasion. He's a very gutsy on-pace stayer. You know that he's going to be up there. He'll give his best. When you think he's gone, he finds something else. And I think that Gay has an excellent chance of picking up her first Melbourne Cup. 15,
Marble Halls, has a lot going for him. He's to be ridden by Damien Oliver. He's trained by Lee Friedman. He's got barrier number 5, and he's the best age to win the Cup. 4-year-olds have won it more than any other age.
Yes, a nice young horse and a terrific run in the McKinnon Stakes on Saturday. Just in behind the place getters there, he finished 4th. Australia's top jockey on board, Damien Oliver, 52.5 kilos. All's going well for him, and he's a strong chance.
It's a big moment for 28-year-old trainer Cliff Brown, who saddles up Markham to be ridden by Mick Dittman. The last time barrier number 7 successful in a Melbourne Cup was back in 1981 with Just a Dash.
He put in a terrific effort in the Caulfield Cup. It was he was running on towards the end. In fact, he made up a fair deal of ground on that occasion. His last run, well, that was on Saturday in the McKinnon over the 2,000 metres. Exactly what you'd expect him to do. I don't think he's the roughest in this race by any means, and of course very experienced jockey in Mick Dittman on board.
Jen, one of the roughest is number 17, Scrupulous. Michael Carson, the rider for trainer Jim Smith. He's the 95 Adelaide Cup winner, but as you can see, he's at huge odds.
Yes, he ran last in the Link Cuisine on Saturday, on Derby Day, of course. Prior to that, he was a little bit unlucky in the Geelong Cup, but it's a very tough assignment for Scrupulous here, and it does look a task for him. I'm not keen.
A former Perth Cup winner, number 18, Crying Game. Greg Childs rides here for Angela Johnson, and only Sapio and Yobro have had more starts than this fellow.
Yes, he's a Perth Cup winner in 1996. He ran 7th on Saturday over the 2,500. Normally this horse does like to lead. On Saturday he didn't lead. I wonder whether or not they'll try to do that with him today, because that's when he does race best. I still think it's going to be a tough task for him here, though.
Grant Cooksley is the rider of 19 Yobro. Kirk Roberts, the trainer. He was placed in the Grosby Gold Cup, formerly the Moonee Valley Cup, the last Moonee Valley Cup place getter to win the Melbourne Cup. Kingston Rule in 1990.
I think he's got a rough chance in the race, Peter. Nicely weighted here with 52 kilos. He's guaranteed to run out the distance, and he's at pretty good odds. 20
Bonsai Pipeline to be ridden by Darren Gauci for Robert Thomas. The last Perrier Stakes winner to win the Melbourne Cup, R1 back in 1978.
Well, he ran second in the New Zealand and Wellington Cup, so he can run these distances out okay, but I just think he's outclassed in this field.
21 Grand Master for Len Beasley. Trainer Bart Cummings carries the least successful saddlecloth. Only one win, Battalion 1923, but he's got the polish of the master.
That's true, and only 49.5 kilos on his back. He ran second on Saturday. I thought he had every chance to win. I would have liked to seen him get to the line a little bit stronger than he did. No weight, maybe a place chance at best for him.
And finally, 22 Sunny Lane. Brent Stanley, the rider for Charlie Goggin. The last horse to carry the bottom saddlecloth to win, 1916 Sassanov.
And the only mare in the race too, so we wish her well. The Werribee Cup winner. She's a very, very consistent country cup sort of horse. I just think it's going to be a little bit tough for her here today. I'd be surprised if she's strong enough.
Jen, the sun is shining on us. Sum it up with your selections for the Foster's Melbourne Cup.
Well, I'm going with Lee Friedman with one of his horses in this race. Number 11, Always Aloof, from number 3, Might and Power, and number 2, Doremus.
And my selection is number 2, Doremus, to create a little bit of history, to beat number 3, Might and Power, and 8, Ebony Grove. And my outsider is number 9, Arabian Story. There you see the tote call. All of the field of 22 with supporters around Australia and indeed around the world. And the best supported of those, Grandmaster, round about the 20-1 mark. But, of course, as well as the tote, we also have the bookmakers. There's been a flurry of activity in the last few minutes. To tell us all about it, Tim Gossage.
Some bookmakers simply won't be able to stand up after this race if Might and Power wins the Melbourne Cup. One of Australia's richest men has absolutely offloaded on Might and Power. Some bookmakers have not laid Might and Power in the last 25 minutes. They simply are going to be reeling if Might and Power wins the Cup. It is the standout favourite. Ebony Grove, Doremus, Marble Halls, no money for the overseas campaigners, Arabian Story and Harbour Juice. A huge go, Might and Power.
Well, I wonder if the connections of Might and Power will be holding this famous trophy in about 10 or 15 minutes' time. It is the most famous trophy in all of Australian sport, the Foster's Melbourne Cup. 22 noble thoroughbreds about to run for it. And we'll be back on the other side of this break to watch them do just that at fabulous Flemington.
International test of staying and the biggest party of the year. But Melbourne Cup Day is even more than that to Melbourne. It's part of the city's soul. Through depression, drought, floods and wars, Cup Day at Flemington has always been able to maintain its reputation as the race which stops a nation. First run in 1861 and won by the Sydney horse Archer. The Cup progressed quickly, the handicap conditions capturing the imagination of a young country with an affinity for the underdog. By 1896, when this historic piece of film was taken, showing New Haven winning, the Melbourne Cup was regularly attracting crowds of 100,000. Today, horses jet in from around the world, but the culture of the race is ingrained in our gold rush past. The gamble, the spirit of adventure, it's in our blood.
Yes, indeed. This is Flemington. Wherever you're watching us from, the lounge rooms, bars, clubs, restaurants, this is the Melbourne Cup. Clutch that betting ticket and the arm of the person next to you. Peter Donegan, we're stopped and ready to go.
We are, Tim, and they'll start at the 900-metre mark here. There is Doremus. He's used to this scene. He's run in the Melbourne Cup the last 2 years. In 1995, he won it. Starting at the 900 metres mark, a long straight run, and then they'll come down to the judge to the roars of the crowd, and 1 lap later, one name will be etched in history. A man who's already etched his name in history, champion jockey Roy Higgins. As we look at our selections, always aloof, Marble Hall's Alpha, Doremus. Roy Higgins, you've won the Cup twice. What did you like?
I've gone with a Lee Friedman to run the Cornella in 15 Marble Halls and 2 Doremus. Now, that's a big statement because Jenny Chapman's tipped him to Always Aloof, which is his 3rd runner. I did like the look of Ebony Grove and Alpha, so good luck.
Good luck to you too, Roy. Roy Higgins, champion jockey, and now from Sport 927. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the nation is now officially at a standstill for a horse race. But not just any horse race, it's the Foster's Melbourne Cup. They're running it for the 137th time, and to call it, Dan Malicki, with him, former champion jockey Gary Willis.
Well, the atmosphere certainly built up here, Peter. You can hear it even coming up here. But, oh, gee, these horses look well, might and power. There's just that query, I think, that they hasn't stopped anyone backing him in the ring. But he is certainly looks the part. He's had come up the straight. He looked beautiful doing his preliminary. The other horse I thought looked very well was Ebony Grove. He was nice and relaxed, very cool. The 2 visitors, Arabian Story, Harbour Dews, both looked very well. Skybow, Always Aloof, you can just keep naming them. There is Ebony Grove on camera there. Oh, Count Shivers just went past him then. But by gee, it's hard to stab one right on the dot, isn't it, Dan?
I was impressed by the 2 English horses, particularly Harbour Dews. He looked fantastic. And the grey Arabian Story, which will be very easily identified. It's the only grey in the field, Gary. And the last couple are moving into line. Count Shivers to go up. Might and Power will run the favourite. Currently $5.80 for the win.
We just need to get that bit of cover for the first half mile of the race, I think, Dan, for Might and Power to win it.
And Ebony Grove about to come up, starting from the outside barrier, number 22.
He's a beautiful relaxed horse, Ebony Grove.
And he'll come up to the outside gate. All set to go, the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. And they're ready for a start now. Away they go. The gates have crashed back and the big one is underway. Ebony Grove immediately snagged back to the tail of the field with Count Shivers. Might and Power, one of the best to jump away with Marble Halls. Magnet Bay, Crying Game was up there in the early part. Likewise, Court of Honour. A little further out to Viali, and also Sunny Lane's going forward early. Linesman's a bit wide about midfield at the moment, but it is going forward in the race. Always Aloof was midfield. Wider out then was Sapio. Scrupulous getting back with Skybow along the inside of Doremus, and Ebony Grove is 2 lengths away at the tail. As they come down the straight the first time, and the leader is the favourite, and that is Might and Power. Crying Game is going up to second. Linesman is 3 out, but been hunted forward now. Marble Halls was over on the rails. Around him was the mare Sunny Lane, and then Court of Honour followed by Viali. Yobro was next on the inside. Around it was Sapio. A length further back than a Magnet Bay. They've got a circuit left to travel. Markham's about midfield on the rails. Always Aloof 3 deep on the outside of Arabian Story. Next on the inside was Grand Master. Bonsai Pipeline is 4 wide around Harbour Dews, Alpha, and Count Shivers on the rails. Then came Doremus. Alpha got a bit of a check there. Skybow is back to the rear of the field in between Ebony Grove, the fence, and Scrupulous out 3 wide. They've got 2,000 metres left to travel in the Cup now, and the leader is Might and Power. The favourite Might and Power by 2 lengths. Marble Halls racing with his mouth wide open on the inside. Crying Game goes around Linesman now. Crying Game gets to second. Linesman third. Fourth the inside Marble Halls. And then Court of Honour getting a nice run on the inside of Yobro. A length and a half further back than a Sunny Lane around the outside of Viali, and on the rails was Markham. Then Magnet Bay went off the fence. Around it was Sapio, and out there there. 4 wide was Bonsai Pipeline. Grandmaster midfield on the rails. Then came Count Shivers. Wider out on the track there was Always Aloof. Arabian Story, the grey in the centre. A length further back in the field to Remus. And then came Viali. A length and a half further back to Ebony Grove. Harbour Dews was about 6th last, but 3 wide. Alpha's back to 3rd last from Skybow. And Scrupulous at the tail of the field. They've got 1,200 left to travel. And Might and Power is the leader. He's 3/4 of a length in front of Crying Game. 2 lengths away, 3rd was Linesman. He's going up on the outside of Marble Halls. Just behind those was Court of Honour. Then came Viali, a length further back than a Harbour Dews. Over on the inside was Markham. Going forward, Yobro got to about 5th. Markham in between runners. Off the track was Sapio. Over on the inside, Grandmaster as they start to bunch up behind the leaders. It's Might and Power now being tackled by Linesman. A length and a half away, Yobro on the outside of Marble Halls now being called on. Around the outside, Sunny Lane, Sapio, and further back, Arabian Story. Linesman, he's putting the pressure on the turn. It's Might and Power, the inside end. Linesman together as they straighten up in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And Might and Power, he got away again, the fave. He's a length in front. Linesman won't lay down. Grandmaster runs on, and here's DeRemus. DeRemus with a run. Then came Markham and Sapio. Might and Power, the leader. 250 to go. DeRemus is after him. Might and Power led a length and a half to DeRemus. Then Linesman. Might and Power, the leader. DeRemus is coming at him. DeRemus after Might and Power. Might and Power and DeRemus, they hit it. Oh, it's close. DeRemus lunged. DeRemus lunged on the outside. Can he have done it a second time? It's a photo in the Melbourne Cup. DeRemus and Might and Power. Close up behind them, Linesman with Harbour Dews and Markham. Then Arabian Story, Skybow, Ebony Grove. Grandmaster, Sapio, Magnet Bay, Court of Honour, Always Aloof. Then Scrupulous, Viali, Marble Halls, Yobro, Sunny Lane, Bonsai Pipeline, Crying Game, Count Shivers and Alpha.
I don't know, Dan. I thought Might and Power might have just stuck.
And he's hung on. Might and Power's won it, number 3.
Yes, I thought he might have. Well, what a brilliant ride.
Number 3's wonderful. I think Greg Hall thought he'd won it because he raised his whip in salute. But in a bobbing go, it's Might and Power. Number 3 has won the Melbourne Cup. From 2 DeRemus, Greg Hall. And 3rd placing will go to number 16, Markham. 3, 2 and 16. What an absolute thriller.
Incredible.
Bob of the head. And it was Might and Power whose nose went down on the line. And he's won. And I dare say half a stride before and half a stride after it was DeRemus. And I'm sure Greg Hall thought he'd won it.
Oh, definitely. But I just sort of thought, he's a big horse. Jimmy Cassidy cuddled his horse, and here he's really going for him. And Might and Power really responded. Here's DeRemus. He's got up outside Linesman. And this is where it really got interesting. I thought, can Might and Power just hold on?
Here's Johnny Letts. He's got the 1997 Melbourne Cup winning jockey, Jim Cassidy.
Good luck to Jimmy. What a great ride. You had a lovely running front, mate. We all doubted him at the distance.
Come in.
Do what he's done.
That's Jim Cassidy. Coming back to scale, the horse has won the Caulfield and Melbourne Cups. He kicked away on the turn there, Gary.
Oh, incredible. But when they came out of the barrier, Jimmy just concentrated to try and get him to settle. And he cuddled him all the way down past the winning post. And then along the back, I thought Crying Game was going to make it a bit hard for him. But he just let him give him a bit of rain. It was a beautiful front-running ride. And when he sort of straightened up, Linesman was the first to challenge him. He sort of shook him off, and then DeRemus just came at him. And I agree with you. Greg Hall, I think, thought he'd got up, but I was watching it, and I just happened to glance, and I just thought Might and Power had stuck that big, long neck out. But,
it was just too close, just the bob of the head. John Letts.
Yeah. Oh, fellas, you've never seen a more ecstatic jockey in your life than Jimmy Cassidy. Jimmy, what a great year it's been for the Caulfield Cup and now the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This horse is a champion. He is an out-and-out champion.
And Jimmy, like you were taken on from the half mile when Linesman went up there.
Yeah, they come up, they started roaring. I said, that wouldn't worry me.
And Sydney, you know, that's the first time that I've ever tried to interview a jockey. And Greg Hall thought he won the race, and then your number went up, and you nearly jumped out the saddle.
Oh, look, I just waited for the number. What a great thrill, mate. What a horse. I love the horse.
Well, you
win this Jack Denham is just unbelievable.
Jimmy, you've deserved it. You've been through a lot of hard times in the last couple of years, but this tops it all, mate, doesn't it? The big one.
We're playing manners, Let's. You don't lay down, mate.
You never have you?
I went show jumping and they told me one thing, go hard and go home.
Good luck, you,
I'm
mate.
going home by 50.
So some great scenes in the mounting yard. Nick Moratis, the owner, has just rushed out, and I can tell you that most people down here probably thought that Doremus might have got up, but Might and Power has become the 10th horse to win the Caulfield and Melbourne Cup double. What a performance. I suppose there were reasons that we all look for to see why this horse couldn't win the Melbourne Cup, but he's proven that he could, and now he's proven that he is the best horse in Australia. Outstanding performance. His trainer, of course, Jack Denham, won't speak to the media. I've already checked that. There's no real point in going over and talking to Jack, because he is going to keep his thoughts private as he walks through with good friend Vic Beitzel. Might and Power coming back to scale. What a great finish. That is one of the great finishes in Melbourne Cup history. He is a very private man, as I said, Jack Denham. He hasn't spoken to the media for a long time, and not even a victory in the greatest race of them all is going to make him change his mind. Jimmy Cassidy, what a story this is. His life was in turmoil just a couple of years ago. He's bounced back. He's won the Caulfield Cup. Now he's won the Melbourne Cup, just as he did 14 years ago when he came across as a young fellow from New Zealand and rode a horse called Kiwi. That day, he came from the back of the field. On this Melbourne Cup day of 1997, he was in front all the way. His horse just kept on finding. Greg Hall, the new dad, comes back, bows his head. So close. What a great 24 hours it would have been for Gregory Michael Hall, with the birth of a new daughter, and oh so close to another Melbourne Cup victory. Nick Moratis, the owner of Might and Power, is down in front of us at the moment, and we might see if we can get through this crush so that Nick can speak to the world. And here he is, chatting now.
Thanks, Jimmy Cassidy. Thanks, Jack Denham. Thanks, Alan Denham.
Is this better than selling potatoes?
Huh?
Nick, tell me something. Were you worried when Brian Game took him on and then linesman?
Of course I was worried against Simon, yeah. How can a horse, they all said he couldn't do it, didn't they?
Well, he was a sitting...
Every one of you said he couldn't do it, and he's done it. Terrific.
Nick, he just kept on finding over the last little bit. Is that the longest 3.5 minutes of your life?
You better believe it. He's a super horse.
What about when...
Super horse, and you know what? He's good for racing. It's good for racing to have a horse like this again.
Nick, when they went past the line... When they went past the line, Nick, did you think you'd won?
No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. My son's standing out first with one of Dad, and I wasn't sure. I thought we went down, but...
Can I just tell you, can I just say something? No one deserves it more than this man here. No one in the country. No one in the country. No one deserves it more.
Emotional scenes being seen around the world here. Well, just at the moment, there's 500 million people watching this around the world. Your horse is the most famous racehorse in the world right now.
He's famous, but I tell you what, I still owe it to the people that work him. I owe it to Jack Denham, Alan Denham, and I owe it to Jimmy Cassidy. Nobody else but them.
Jack is a private man. He's keeping his thoughts to himself.
What, fellas, let's be honest about all this. The proof of the pie is always eating. There's the results out there. The man doesn't have to say a word. He says it all out there for you, and that's what's good for racing again.
I think you've summed it up
Anybody can come out here and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and you'll look like an idiot in the end. The man says nothing. He's done it, and thank God for it. It's fantastic.
Nick Moratis, fantastic. Well done.
Thank you very much, Melbourne. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, fellas.
The owner of Might and Power, the winner of the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And there you can see the riders getting on the scales. 3 cheers going on down here. And Des Gleeson going through the important matter of trying to...